Hello everyone, welcome to Miss Doc T. This is Dr. Farheen, General Medicine resident, and today let's discuss giant cell arthritis. So this topic is again important for PG entrance examination and we'll start with a question. A 52-year female presented to the emergency department with fever, headache, pain in the jaw region, unable to chew food for a longer time and double vision. Her ESR was elevated. What is the most likely diagnosis? And another question. All of the following are true about giant cell arthritis except. So watch till the end. You can easily answer these questions. So in giant cell arthritis, there is inflammation of large sized arteries, and so giant cell arthritis is a large vessel vasculitis. And the large artery predominantly involved are the extracranial branches of carotid artery, and these include the superficial temporal artery, which is the most commonly involved artery in giant cell arthritis, and so giant cell arthritis is also known as temporal arthritis. And other commonly involved arteries include maxillary artery and ophthalmic artery. So involvement of superficial temporal artery leads to headache and scalp pain, and involvement of maxillary artery may present with jaw claudication. Involvement of ophthalmic artery presents with visual disturbances and also with anterior ischemic optic neuropathy AION. This presents with sudden blindness, and this is a dreadful complication of giant cell arthritis. Now, the clinical features of giant cell arthritis depends upon which vessel is being involved. So, in this picture, this is the common carotid artery dividing into an external carotid and an internal carotid artery. So, this is the maxillary artery. This is the superficial temporal artery from the external carotid, and this is the ophthalmic artery, a branch of internal carotid artery. So, involvement of the area supplied by superficial temporal artery leads to headache and scalp pain. And also sometimes a nodular, thick and pulsating artery is visible that leads to a throbbing type of headache. Involvement of maxillary artery leads to jaw claudication, and involvement of ophthalmic artery leads to visual disturbances and anterior ischemic optic neuropathy. So here it is important to remember the clinical features of throbbing type of headache, visual disturbances and jaw claudication. So apart from the extracranial branches of carotid artery, sometimes some other large arteries like the subclavian artery can be involved, which can present with arm claudication. Similarly, involvement of aorta, especially the thoracic aorta, presents with aortic aneurysm or aortic dissection. And involvement of ophthalmic artery presents with anterior ischemic optic neuropathy, leading to sudden blindness. So these are some complications which can be associated with giant cell arthritis. Now coming to the pathogenesis, it is a T cell mediated arthritis. So there is a T cell mediated maladaptive response to some endothelial injury. So remember, the pathogenesis is T cell mediated. Cells which are commonly involved in the pathogenesis of giant cell arthritis are the T helper cells, the dendritic cells and the macrophages, which can differentiate to form the giant cells. So these are the three cell types which are commonly involved in the pathogenesis of giant cell arthritis. Now, because of the presence of giant cells in the biopsy, it has got the name giant cell arthritis. Now, suppose this is the cross section of a vessel, and a vessel wall contains three layers shown in three different colors. So the yellow and the innermost layer is the tunica intima, which contains the endothelial cells, and underneath it is the internal elastic lamina. Then the second layer and the middle layer is tunica media, containing the smooth muscle cells, and just below it is the external elastic lamina, and the outermost layer is the tunica adventitia, and this tunica adventitia contains some fibroblasts and also some small blood vessels. So these are the small blood vessels which supply the wall of a blood vessel, which are known as vasa vasorum. So this is the histology of the wall of a blood vessel. Now this is a blood vessel. This is the tunica intima in yellow, the tunica media is pink and the tunica adventitia is shown in blue. Now the vasa vasorum are the minor blood vessels which are supplying the wall of the blood vessel. So this is how we can represent them. And they enter the blood vessel in the tunica adventitia. Now coming to the proper pathogenesis, the antigen is considered to be in the blood vessel wall and there is a T cell mediated maladaptive response towards that antigen. So what happens is, look at the picture below. Through the vasa vasorum, the CD4 plus T helper cells enter into the adventitia of the blood vessel. So first thing that happens is CD4 T helper cells that reach the adventitia of the blood vessels. And the second thing is that there is activation of the dendritic cells which are already present in the adventitia of a blood vessel. So this is the picture. Now the T helper cells in the adventitia will then activate macrophages, and these macrophages will then differentiate to form giant cells and will also release some pro-inflammatory cytokines, interleukin 1, interleukin 6 and tumor necrosis factor alpha, and both of these will together lead to intimal proliferation and vessel occlusion by decreasing the lumen of the vessel, thereby leading to vasculitis. So suppose this is the blood vessel. So tunica adventitia has some dendritic cells already residing inside it, and through the vasa vasorum the CD4 T helper cells enter into the adventitia. Now these CD4 T helper cells will then activate the macrophages. Now these macrophages will release some pro-inflammatory cytokines which will cause intimal proliferation. So this is how the intima is getting proliferated, and once the tunica intima is getting proliferated, the lumen of the blood vessel, this was the original lumen, and after proliferation the lumen has decreased in size and leads to vessel occlusion. Also the macrophages will differentiate to form giant cells. So this is the complete pathogenesis of giant cell arthritis. First, there is activation of the dendritic cells in the adventitia. The second thing is that the T cells reach the adventitia through the vasa vasorum. The third thing is the activation of macrophages to release pro-inflammatory cytokines as well as to differentiate into giant cells. And the fourth event is all of these will cause intimal proliferation and vessel occlusion leading to vasculitis. So this is the complete pathogenesis. Three important cells that mediate the pathogenesis are the T helper cells, the dendritic cells and the macrophages. So this is the complete pathogenesis of giant cell arthritis. Now we'll look at the diagnosis. First thing is to look at the symptoms. The typical presentation is in a patient age more than 50 years with headache and jaw claudication. There is also elevated ESR, and biopsy of the temporal artery is the gold standard investigation to diagnose giant cell arthritis. A minimum length of artery that has to be biopsied is 3 to 5 centimeters. Treatment includes steroids plus aspirin. So prednisolone in a dose of 40 to 60 milligrams per day should be started, and it should be given for about 1 month, and then the dose is tapered slowly, and aspirin is given to prevent the ischemic complications. So another important point to remember about giant cell arthritis is that it is commonly associated with polymyalgia rheumatica. So this polymyalgia rheumatica is an inflammatory rheumatological condition where there is morning stiffness and aches involving the shoulder, hip, neck and arms. So typically this will be the presentation. Now what are the points to remember to solve an MCQ? Giant cell arthritis involves large sized arteries, so it is a large vessel vasculitis, and it commonly involves the extracranial branches of carotid artery. And the most important features include headache, jaw claudication and visual disturbances. And presentation typically occurs at age group of more than 50 years. So involvement of superficial temporal artery leads to throbbing headache, involvement of maxillary artery leads to jaw claudication, and involvement of ophthalmic artery leads to vision disturbances. Similarly, involvement of subclavian artery can lead to arm claudication, involvement of aorta can lead to aortic aneurysm or dissection, and involvement of ophthalmic artery leads to anterior ischemic optic neuropathy with sudden blindness. And other clinical manifestations include fever, malaise, and anorexia. So, the pathogenesis of giant cell arteritis involves CD4 T helper cells, dendritic cells, and macrophages. Now, the presence of giant cells in the histology gives the name giant cell arteritis. The gold standard for diagnosis is biopsy of a temporal artery. And this giant cell arteritis is commonly associated with polymyalgia rheumatica. So now coming back to the question, a 52-year female presented to the emergency department with fever, headache, pain in the jaw region, unable to chew food for a longer time and double vision. Her ESR was elevated. What is the most likely diagnosis? First thing is that the age is more than 50 years and there is headache. Headache indicates involvement of the superficial temporal artery. Pain in the jaw region and unable to chew food for a longer time is nothing but jaw claudication. So, jaw claudication means there is pain in the jaw region and the patient will not be able to chew food for a longer time. And then there is double vision. Double vision indicates involvement of probably ophthalmic artery. Another hint that is given is elevated ESR. So, headache, jaw claudication, double vision, and elevated ESR is a classic presentation of giant cell arteritis. Now, the second question. All of the following are true about giant cell arteritis except high dose steroids is the treatment of choice, which is right. There is an elevated ESR and it is commonly seen in more than 50 years of age group. So, intracranial carotid branches are commonly involved is the wrong option because extracranial branches of the carotid artery are commonly involved and not the intracranial branches. If an image-based question has to be given, then probably a picture showing anterior ischemic optic neuritis can be given. Also, a histological picture of blood vessel highlighting giant cells indicates giant cell arteritis. So, in an image-based questions, these can be expected. Now, this is the complete picture of what we have discussed. So that's all for today. Thanks for watching. Hope you liked it. Let's meet again with another new topic. Till then, just take care, be happy, and stay safe.